Today we're going to go over how to perform a maintenance service on your new RF-3 compressor, which is required every 2,000 hours of operation, or when you see the message ALL11 appear on the controller indicating that the maintenance timer has been exceeded. All you're going to need today are a couple of adjustable wrenches, a strap wrench, a 4mm Allen, clean funnel, some rags, and your maintenance kit, which is going to include an intake air filter, air oil separator, oil filter cartridge, and a scavenger orifice, as well as a gallon of PG46 oil. You'll also need the barbed fitting and hose that came with your compressor for draining the oil, as well as a catch pan or oil jug for collecting the used oil. First, we're going to want to disconnect power from the equipment and make sure it's fully depressurized. Next, we'll need our 4mm Allen to remove the top cover. Now we can remove the top cover. It'll lift straight up. Just be mindful of the intake air filter housing. Now, step one, before you remove the oil fill plug, you'll want to make sure that the sump pressure gauge is reading 0. We'll just grab our adjustable wrench and crack that loose. Now, once you crack it loose with the wrench, you'll want to remove it by hand very slowly, just to ensure that there's no residual pressure in the sump. All right, now we can go ahead and remove our oil drain plug. And now we'll take our oil drain hose that was included with the compressor and just thread that into the oil drain valve by hand. Now we'll just open the oil drain valve and allow the oil to drain. Now that the oil's done draining, we're going to go ahead and close our oil drain valve. Now we can remove our drain hose. And reinstall our oil drain plug. Now we're going to change the oil filter cartridge, which is located here on the bottom of the oil reservoir. First, we'll need our 2 adjustable wrenches to remove that oil injection hose. Now we'll need to remove this fitting that threads into the oil filter cartridge. We'll just loosen that lock nut. We should be able to unthread the fitting by hand. And we'll want to inspect the condition of that O-ring on the fitting. This one looks good. All right, now we'll remove the oil filter cartridge. Make sure the O-ring comes off with the filter cartridge as well. The new filter cartridge comes with a new O-ring. We'll just clean up the mating surface here. Apply a little bit of oil to that new O-ring. Make sure it's seated in the groove in the filter cartridge. And we'll just thread that in. and just finish it with the wrench. There's no need to over tighten this, just until the O-ring seats and then an additional 1/4 of a turn. Now we'll reinstall that fitting. And tighten the lock nut. And reinstall our oil injection hose. Okay, now we're ready to refill the unit with oil. Only use genuine PneuTech oil and PneuTech air compressors for optimum performance and to maintain your equipment warranty. So we're going to be adding 0.6 gallons of PG46 premium rotary screw oil. And while we're filling the oil, we're just going to want to keep an eye on the oil sight glass. We're only going to fill it until it's right at the top of the oil sight glass. Now we can see our oil level is full in the oil sight glass, so we can go ahead and reinstall our oil fill plug. And then just snug it up with your wrench, no need to over tighten. Okay, next we're going to change out our air oil separator. So for this we'll need our strap wrench or band wrench. And we're going to want to make sure that our separator stem is clean. So we'll wipe that down. And also clean the gasket mating surface. Now, before we install our new separator, we're going to make sure both the gasket as well as the internal O-ring are lubricated with a light film of clean oil. And we'll go ahead and thread that on by hand. And we're just going to go hand tight on that. Next, we're going to replace the intake filter. So we're just going to twist this cap to the left, about a 1/4 of a turn, lift it straight up. We'll remove that old intake filter. Inspect the inside of your intake filter housing. Make sure everything is clean. If not, very carefully wipe it out. Then we can install our new intake filter. Just press straight down. And go ahead and reinstall your cap. Twist it to the right until it clicks. Next, we're going to replace the scavenger orifice, which is located right here on the inlet valve. The scavenger orifice is an important part that recovers oil from the air oil separator. In order to replace this, first we'll need to remove the intake filter housing. So we'll take a flat blade screwdriver and loosen this worm clamp. Once it's loose, we can remove the intake filter housing. Next, we'll need to remove this poly tube. In order to do that, we'll push in on the tube, push in on the locking ring. Then we can pull the tube out of that fitting. Be careful not to lose the brass insert. Next, we'll use an 11mm wrench to remove that fitting from the scavenger orifice. Next, we'll use our 14mm wrench to go ahead and remove that scavenger orifice. Now, before we install the new scavenger orifice, we'll need to apply some thread sealant to the threads. You can use either a liquid thread sealant or Teflon tape. Be careful not to get any sealant into those small orifices. Now that we have our thread sealant applied to that fitting as well, we'll go ahead and reinstall that. Okay, now we can go ahead and reconnect our poly tube. We'll press that tube all the way into the fitting as far back as it'll go, and then give it a light tug to make sure it doesn't come back out. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our intake filter housing. Lastly, the most important part of your compressor maintenance is making sure your oil cooler is nice and clean so you have sufficient oil flow through your system. For dry debris, you can use a blowgun or a shop vac to blow out the coils. For more stubborn debris, you can use a spray bottle with a mixture of Dawn dish soap and water, spray it onto the cooler, and clean it with a nylon scrub brush. Now that we've verified there's no oil leaks, we're good to go ahead and reinstall our cover.